first the therapist was like, the child's trying to engage with me like the first time ever. But then later on found out that actually, this horrible. But it actually it was a piece of poop.
Think of it from a child's perspective.
Yeah.
They're like, they don't know that you're angry or upset. They're more like, wow, I got my mum to react this way. In reality, behaviors are always a form of communication.
Yeah.
There's always a function to it and why children do it.
Pretty positive consequence, even if it's like a negative reaction, like a scolding or whatnot.
Yeah, true.
That behavior, whether it's good or not good, will increase in the future.
Hi everyone and welcome back to EAP Talks. You're here with me, Joe Isaacs and Rachel Gomez from EAP, and today's podcast or our real conversation is going to be all about behaviors. And I think when we've worked with so many different children on the spectrum over the years, we've actually worked with a range of behaviors, a humongous range of behaviors. Some that are very, very challenging for families to manage and for teams as well, and some are quite cute as well. So you have to balance it out between how to manage different babies. And we just want to chat a bit about that today. And so I'll go first. We have so many different memories, but in the earlier years of EAP, I actually worked with these really two brothers that are just the cutest. So shout out if you're listening or you're tuning in now. They're very young, and this must be I can't even remember how many years ago. Maybe before you joined, so maybe more than 15 years ago.
Wow.
But the older brother was very young at that time. His way of saying hi, would have our team meeting and he would come from behind and just give us a big slap on the back. And that was his way of saying hi. And then his younger brother, he didn't really know what to do when someone came into the house. And so his way of getting attention, I suppose, was not the most appropriate. He would just he'll be walking or he'll be playing. The minute he sees you, he'll just go flat on the floor and just fall down completely. I'm sure you've had some of those, Rach. And so, on our part, we were like, oh gosh, it's actually very cute. It's kind of funny. And you're trying your best not to give attention and to try and redirect that. And we'll chat a little bit more about how to do that after this. But what about you, Ray?
Yeah, I have a funny story. It didn't happen to me, but it happened to my team member.
Okay.
That was part of working with the same child. So this child really used to like to play with Play-Doh.
Yeah.
And one day the child was playing Play-Doh and suddenly the child reached out, had a piece in their hand, in the child's hand, and passed it to the therapist. So at first the therapist was like, the child's trying to engage with me the first time ever. But then later on found out that actually this horrible. But it actually it was a piece of poop that was in the child's hand, that was a hardened piece that really looked like a piece of Play-Doh.
Oh my God. How did y'all figure that out?
Because
they smelled
when he saw it really looked different from a piece of Play-Doh.
No.
So that was a really funny. I think we laughed so much when we heard that.
But on the positive, I can see how you're excited at first because the child came to give you something, which is a good healthy sign of interaction.
Correct.
That we always encourage and reinforce. But when you said Play-Doh, I thought it was blue, so I didn't even think brown and
it was a yellowish.
Oh, okay.
Piece. That's why. Yes.
Okay. Moving. Okay, moving along. Wow. I don't even know. God. Oh gosh, I don't even know how to come back from that moment. Okay. So anyway, when it comes to behaviors, though, at the end of the day, apart from that, I'm not sure about the pooing one. Okay, let me start that again. I think in reality, behaviors are always a form of communication.
Yeah.
There's always a function to it and why children do it. But one of the things I was thinking about today is what would be the one thing, if you could empower parents and teachers, anyone with one thing, what would it be? And for me, it would definitely be in the example of those two boys, going into their home and getting the honor of working together with them, their family, their extended family. What we immediately wanted to teach everyone is, okay, when they do these behaviors that are trying to get attention, but we would say they're not appropriate ways of getting attention, we would try our best to not give them the attention.
Yeah.
And that is a very difficult thing for parents to do, and what more like grandparents or grand aunties and all of that. So like in the example of the little boy that would like lie flat, I would literally like try my best to look beyond him and like, hi everyone, and kind of like, but he'll be like blocking my way, so I couldn't get into the house, and I kind of walk around him or what. But then he's got this like really cute grand auntie who loves him so much, and she's like, oh my gosh, she'll just like come out from the kitchen, what are you doing to my grandson? And she's just like fawn and gives so much attention. So actually as I walked away, I remember this so clearly, I walked away, he actually started to like adjust himself and get up and try and like, but then the minute the auntie came, he like again, oh, like the behavior went up so much, right?
Yeah.
What would you say, Rach? You have those kind of moments? Definitely
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even with my own son as well.
Yeah.
When I wrongly give attention to something, like then he will try to do that silly thing more and more, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And at the end of the day, what we were discussing is actually that is the basis. I'm not sure whether this technically is correct.
Yep.
So please, BCBAs, QBAs, and all the ABA experts, don't shoot me in the comments. But maybe from my understanding and maybe more like just layman terms, operant conditioning, that whole concept of conditioning being the base of what we do in ABA is essentially, I would say it in a way that give attention to the behaviors you want to increase and don't give attention to the behaviors you don't want to increase would be the simple tip. Because essentially with conditioning is every time you give that reinforcement or that attention, that behavior goes up.
Yep.
Right? And we would see that for tantrums. We would see that for... So actually the best thing to do as a parent is to like move away, walk away. And we can talk for hours on this main point because there's just so much to it.
Yeah.
But you were saying about your son. So like everybody, and when I say everybody, not everybody in the world, but a few people said, Joe, it's very easy for you to say when you're just a practitioner or a therapist or supervisor, wait till you become a mom. And I was like, please, I got this down. I'm a psychologist. I am trained. When I have my own children, I'll be so, by the book. I'm like prepared for it. And so we have our daughter, and then she's like 18 months. And actually I was pretty good. So even when she cries, I still obviously comfort her and all, because that's her way of communicating.
Yep.
But one day we go to the playground and there's like a puddle of dirty water, rainwater on the seesaw. And she just like takes the water and she licks it. Like she like takes that dirty rainwater and put it in her mouth. And of me and my, psychologist experienced self, I was like, no! Like I just had the biggest reaction, and she just looks at me and she's like, because her face was like, wow, you have this, like, it's, and so think of it from a child's perspective. Yeah. They're like, they don't know that you're angry or upset. They're more like, wow, I got my mom to react this way. Yeah. So then I was like, she started, and I'm like, Joe, snap out of it. You're a professional. What are you doing? And I was like, look, there's a moon. Look, there's a rocket ship or something. There was nothing in the clouds, but I was like, something is up there. Yeah. And she looked at it and I quickly, we would call it redirection.
Yes. Yeah.
I quickly distracted her with something else and we walked away. But you know how powerful that was? Yep. Is that 2 weeks later, we went to the same playground. And this little girl, my daughter, 18 months at the time, she marches to that same seesaw and looking at me, touching it and trying to lick to get. So it's 2 weeks later, but she still remembers it. So obviously this time I didn't react. But that's, you want to explain a bit of that conditioning part? Or the whole part of not giving attention.
Yeah. So I think definitely like when he basically did this whole like, I guess the principle of like operant conditioning is that whatever that you give attention to, any positive consequence, even if it's like a negative reaction, like a scolding or whatnot, that behavior, whether it's good or not good, will increase in the future. Yeah. So that's like the basis. Whereas like anything that you don't want to, or if you want to decrease, the best way is to not give attention to it, not give a reaction to it. So I think that's the basis of like what, I mean, very layman terms, what operant conditioning is. I think we see it really being being applied in the work that we do. So then that's how we actually teach a child new skills. Giving lots of attention to the new skill. Like and of course, for some of our kids, just a simple praise might not be like enough for them
Yeah.
to know like, oh, this is really good. But so we usually pair up with like, let's say, rewards, for example, to help them understand, oh, this is the skill that we want you to show
Right,
more
yeah.
and more, and that actually sometimes the new skill will help to actually replace some of the inappropriate skills. Once they learn the new skill, they and then also if you do it with less attention on the like the wrong skill, the inappropriate skill, then that shifts and changes the child to demonstrate the right behavior.
So basically, you're not just ignoring
Correct.
the inappropriate behavior,
Yeah.
but you're also teaching and
Yes.
strengthening
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
like I think when it comes to tackling behaviors, it's really very comprehensive. We just wanted to share like that one tip
Yep.
as a start. But we go for we our own therapists. We train for hours. Our
Yeah,
parent, but
for
there's
sure.
but just to encourage all parents, teachers out there, for every behavior, there is an alternative behavior.
Yeah.
And there are strategies that we can teach our children to be able to respond really well, interact really
Yeah.
well, and actually learn really well as well.
Yeah.
So that's it from us for today's conversation
Yes.
around behaviors. It's just one short tip. We could go on for hours for
Yeah.
sure. We have
For sure.
hours to talk about on this.
Yeah.
But do let us know in the comments what is the most, whether it's the cutest behavior your child has or funniest story, anything at all. We'd love to get to know you better. But also do share with us if you have any questions or any specific behaviors you would like us to discuss, to chat about in these podcasts. See you soon, guys. We'll see you soon.